Good afternoon. My name is Lauri MacLean. I'm an artist, choreographer, dancer, living in the Reed's Art Space, downtown Bridgeport, where I've been for the last 13 or 14 years. It gets kind of hard to keep track of time, if you know what I mean. So at any rate, this afternoon I'm going to be reading several books to you about artists in various genres, a couple artists, a dancer, and a musician. So I hope you'll stay with me for all of these books, but yeah, so let's get started. Our first artist is the fabulous Frida Kahlo, a woman from Mexico who had a difficult life, and that we'll go through that in the story, but phenomenal person. Who used art as a way to deal with the challenges that were quite extreme in her life. Any rate, this book is by Jonah Winter and is illustrated by Juan. I checked these books out of the Stratford Library because the Bridgeport Library is not open to the public right now. You can call them and request a book, but COVID, we're all at home, so it's a great time to be able to read and make art. So I suggest that if you are unable to do what you usually do with your time, that perhaps you can learn more about creating, and books are a great way to venture into that. So Frida, one of my personal favorites. Frida enters the world. Her house is a blue house. It is in the town of Coyoacan. Mexico is quite a colorful place, and for those of us that live in North America, the architecture is a little different, the plants are different, so her inspiration is going to be different than perhaps ours would be here. Frida's father is an artist and a photographer. He teaches her how to use a paintbrush. Frida's mother takes care of 6 daughters. Often she is tired. Often Frida is lonely, even though she has sisters. Perhaps some of you have siblings, but know what it's like to feel like you're on your own. Enter stage left, Frida's imaginary friend. Her name is also Frida. They play games. The world of imagination is great and vast, so perhaps you have an imaginary friend that keeps you company. All of a sudden, Frida falls very ill. She's in bed for months. There's something wrong with one of her legs. Even her imaginary friend can't cheer her. That's when Frida teaches herself how to draw. Drawing saves her from being sad. After Frida gets well, she still wants to make art, so she paints little paintings. These are copies of other paintings. Painting onto photographs is what Frida's father does for a living. He teaches her how to do this. So let's see her. That's that one. Frida also paints things she sees through a microscope. She loves looking at things very closely. So for those of you that have a microscope or use one at school, you know that that enlarges things. At school, Frida studies science. She is bored. School is too easy. One day, Frida is riding the bus home from school. A horrible accident happens. A trolley runs into the bus. Frida almost dies. In the hospital, it is painting that saves her once again. Painting is like her imaginary friend. It is there whenever she wants it. It keeps her company. It keeps her from giving up hope. After the accident, life will never be the same for Frida. She will walk with a cane when she is able to walk. Her body will always hurt. But Frida doesn't cry or complain. Instead of crying, she paints pictures of herself crying. When she can't leave her bed, she paints in bed. When her whole torso, that's her upper body, is in a cast, she paints on the cast. Nothing can stop Frida from painting. Because she's so often alone, unable to leave her house, she has to use her imagination. She paints what she sees in her heart on top of what she sees with her eyes. It's almost like painting on photographs. So we see her little chihuahua there. Frida had quite a few dogs. Oh, here's another one. She paints little magical scenes with words at the bottom. All over Mexico, people paint these kinds of scenes. Sometimes they are scenes of accidents with angels coming to the rescue. They are like prayers for people who are sick. They are called ex votos. Frida paints ex votos of herself when she is sick or in pain. Frida imitates no one in her style. Her paintings are like nothing else. In museums, people still look at them and weep and sigh and smile. She turns her pain into something beautiful. It is like a miracle. Viva Frida! Long live Frida! Pretty amazing, right? So I'm going to read you a short biography about Frida. Again, if you get inspired, you know, there's a lot of wonderful books that actually show her work. Frida Kahlo was born on July 6, 1907 in Coyoacán, Mexico, to Guillermo Kahlo and Matilda Calderon de Kahlo. At the age of 7, she was stricken with polio, confined to her bed for 9 months, and left with a shrunken right leg and a limp. At the age of 18, she was in a horrible bus accident that is too nightmarish to describe here. It is a miracle that she survived and that she was able to produce any art, considering the constant pain she was in throughout the rest of her life. That her paintings are among the most beautiful and original art ever created is a monument to Kahlo's indomitable spirit and willpower. That her paintings continue to be exhibited in museums all over the world and reproduced in books, on posters, and even in advertisements is proof of her lasting popularity. Kahlo's popularity, which has been increasing steadily over the years since her death on July 13, 1954, began to grow when she married the world-renowned Mexican muralist Diego Rivera in 1929. Their personalities were both so colorful and their love for each other so intense that their marriage remains one of the most famous in the 20th century. But it wasn't merely Kahlo's association with the celebrated Rivera that sparked an ongoing public fascination with her work. Her painful story is so inspirational that she has become a role model for artists in general who often must work under difficult conditions. She has specifically been an inspiration to women artists who have found in Kahlo's strength, courage, and pizzazz an example of how to thrive as a woman in an art world dominated by men. There's nice sunshine. Can we see this? There's a lot of sun in my apartment. It's hard to film. So anyway, there you have it. The story of Frida Kahlo, a personal favorite, and maybe she will become one of your favorite artists. So thank you, and on to the next.